Okay, picture the room. You know the one I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The air is just kind of stale.
Mm.
It smells faintly of dry erase markers and, I don't know, maybe lukewarm coffee.
And a little bit of desperation.
A little bit of desperation, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The walls are just plastered in sticky notes. You know, neon yellow, electric pink. It's like this chaotic corporate wallpaper.
The war room.
The war room, exactly. You spent the whole day debating, brainstorming, categorizing.
With sticky notes around.
Right, from the parking lot to the action items column. You walk out exhausted, maybe a little dehydrated, but you have a binder now, a thick one. Strategic Plan 2025. You feel like you've actually accomplished something.
And then what happens?
And then, well, nothing. Absolute nothing. 6 months later, that binder is just a really expensive coaster on your desk.
It's the classic tragedy of modern business, isn't it? We confuse the activity of planning with actual strategy. What you just described, I mean, that isn't really a strategy session. It's a laundry list generator. You get a million ideas, but zero direction.
And that is exactly what we are deconstructing today. We're doing a deep dive into the hidden signs your strategy is already failing.
And the really scary part, most strategies don't fail during execution. They fail because the plan was doomed from the very first calendar invite. The design itself was flawed.
So we've pulled together what we're calling a quality control checklist, 15 specific red flags. Think of this as a structural stress test for your strategy.
Exactly. And if you see these signs, don't just push through. You have to pull the emergency brake.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning, the setup. What is that first red flag that just screams, we're about to waste everyone's time?
Red flag number 1 is what I call the general organizational review. It's sort of the default setting for lazy strategy.
What does that look like?
You walk in and the facilitator just says, okay, everyone, let's do a SWOT analysis. What are our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? Just broadly.
I mean, I have to push back a little on that. Isn't that strategy 101? You have to know where you stand?
You do, but not in a vacuum. If you ask for a general review, you get general answers. You end up with this bucket of random thoughts where, trivial details get mixed in with existential threats.
So you get a sticky note that says, we have a strong brand, right next to one that says, the cafeteria runs out of bagels by 9 a.m.
Exactly. It completely lacks a filter. You're catching minnows and whales in the same net. The fix is you need a challenge question. You can't just ask, how are we doing?
Right.
You have to frame the whole session around a specific problem to solve. Something like, how do we regain market share in the Northeast?
That changes the energy immediately. All of a sudden, the bagel problem isn't a weakness anymore. It's just irrelevant noise.
Precisely. If you don't know what game you're playing, you don't know if having a good goalie is a strength or if it's useless because you're actually playing chess.
Okay, so that brings us to the people in the room. Red flag number 2. The who problem, or as I call it, the echo chamber.
Yeah, you can usually spot this one the second you walk in. You just look around the table. Does everyone have chief or vice president in their title?
Well, yeah, usually. I mean, it's a strategy session. You want the decision makers there, right?
You want them there for the decisions, but you need the front line for the inputs. If the room is just leadership, you're basically breeding groupthink.
You're missing the ground truth.
You are. The PowerPoint slides in the boardroom. They rarely match the reality on the factory floor. You need a sales rep who keeps losing deals. You need a support agent who knows why customers are actually angry. Without them, you're flying blind.
So we fix the prompt, we fix the invite list. But there's another structural issue. Red flag number 3, fuzzy scope.
This one's a silent killer. It's about the unit of analysis. I've been in meetings where half the room is talking about the entire global enterprise.
And the other half is arguing about a specific software feature.
And they're just talking past each other. You have to define the box. Are we fixing the department, the product line, the whole company? And just as important, what's the strategic horizon?
The timeline.
Right. Are we planning for the next 6 months or the next 5 years? Because a strength in the short term, like a massive inventory, might be a huge weakness in the long term.
If you don't define the timeline, you're comparing apples to spaceships.
Exactly. You need boundaries.
Let's move to segment 2, data collection. The sticky notes are out. And this is where I think, human error really starts to creep in.
Well, garbage in, garbage out. Right. It applies here, too.
For sure. And red flag number 4 is my absolute favorite because it is so petty but so real. The broken printer syndrome.
Oh, we've all seen this. This is when maintenance tickets try to masquerade as corporate strategy.
Yes, you're in this high-stakes meeting about the future of the company, and someone
Yeah.
writes down, the chairs in conference room B are uncomfortable.
And they stick it right next to capital liquidity crisis.
So why do we do that? Is it just that it's top of mind?
I think it's cognitive load. I mean, strategy is hard, it's abstract. The printer jams is concrete, it's solvable, it feels good to identify it, but it just destroys the credibility of the session.
Right. A broken printer is a task for a credit card, not a board meeting.
Exactly. If you can fix it this afternoon, it does not belong on the strategy board.
Now, this next one, red flag 5, is trickier because it feels positive. The evidence gap. This is where we start believing our own hype.
We write down strengths like dedicated team or great customer service.
And those sound good. Who wouldn't want a dedicated team?
They're just meaningless pleasantries unless they answer one very specific question. Compared to whom?
Ah, the comparison is the key.
It's the only thing that matters. You say you have great service. Okay. Is your customer satisfaction metric higher than your direct competitors? Is your churn rate lower?
If you don't have the number, you're just, what, complimenting yourself?
It's self-affirmation disguised as strategy. If you list high quality, but your returns rate is just the industry average, that's not a strength. That's table stakes.
You don't get a medal for being average.
No, you don't.
Okay, I want to spend a minute on red flag number 6, because I think this is the single most common intellectual mistake I see. Confusing strategy with opportunity.
This is where the logic just falls apart. People love to put things in the opportunity column that are really just things they want to do.
For instance, opportunity. Launch a new mobile app.
Stop. Right there. That is not an opportunity. That's a strategic move. That's an action.
So what's the real opportunity then?
The opportunity is the external fact that makes the app a good idea. So, mobile adoption in our target demographic increased by 50%. That's a fact. It exists whether you launch an app or not.
I see. So the opportunity is the wave. The strategy is choosing to surf it.
That is a perfect analogy. And to help people distinguish this, I use a tool called the control test.
Okay, I love a good mental model. Walk us through it.
It's a simple question you ask for every single sticky note. Would this factor still exist if our company closed its doors tomorrow?
Oh, that's sure.
If the answer is yes, like that rise in mobile adoption, it's an external opportunity or threat. If the answer is no, like your dedicated team, then it's an internal strength or a weakness.
Let's try a tricky one. High customer demand. We usually list that as a strength.
Run the test. If your company closes tomorrow, does that demand still exist?
Yes. They just go to a competitor.
Exactly. So high demand is an external opportunity. It's a market condition you have to capture, not a strength you own. It moves you from arrogance to action.
Okay, so we filtered our notes. We're in segment 3. The analysis. And this is where a very large animal enters the room. Red flag number 7. The HIPPO effect.
HIPPO, the highest paid person's opinion.
It sounds friendly, but it's actually pretty destructive.
Oh, it silences a room faster than a fire alarm. The CEO or the senior VP speaks first. They lean in and say, you know, I really think our biggest issue is marketing.
And suddenly everyone else's analysis just shifts to match that.
Right. The session becomes a validation exercise for the boss, not an honest audit. It's just theater. And that junior developer who knows the real problem, they stay quiet. You lose that intelligence. The leader has to speak last. Always.
Which connects to red flag number 8, folklore versus rigor.
Every company has its folklore. You know, the stories it tells itself. We are an innovative company. We are nimble.
But are you? Or is that just true 5 years ago?
Exactly. The red flag is using adjectives instead of data. You say you're innovative, prove it. Show me the percentage of revenue from products launched in the last 2 years.
If that number is like 5%, you aren't innovative. You're a legacy company.
Right. A long list of vague words like strong and good means you have nothing. You just have folklore.
Speaking of vague, let's talk about the dark side. Red flag number 9. Vague threats.
This is confusing anxiety with analysis.
The classic risk of new competitor.
That's just a fear. It's not actionable. A good threat is specific. Don't say risk of a new competitor. Say competitor X just raised $10 million to enter our market next quarter.
Whoa. Yeah, one of those makes me want to get another coffee. The other makes me want to call an emergency meeting.
Specificity creates urgency. Vague threats just create anxiety.
All right, we've survived the analysis. We are now looking at the final output, segment 4. And red flag number 10 is, I think, the most painful one, the unprioritized list.
This is the absolute core of strategy. If everything matters equally, nothing actually matters.
I've seen these lists. Here are our top 45 priorities for Q1, and they say it with a straight face.
That's not a strategy, it's a wish list. Real strategy is about pain, it's about hard choices, it's about saying, we are doing these 3 things, and we are explicitly not doing those other 47.
That's the part that's so hard. It's easy to kill a bad idea. It's really hard to kill a good idea just because you don't have the resources.
But if you don't, you just make a millimeter of progress in a million directions.
Which brings us to red flag 11, and this one drives me nuts. Buzzwords versus verbs.
Ah, yes. Aspirational fluff.
Exactly. The strategic goal is digital transformation or foster innovation.
Those aren't actions, they're concepts. A strategic output has to be actionable. Instead of better training, it has to be launch mentorship program to upskill junior developers by Q3.
You need a verb, a noun, and a date. If you can't hand it to someone on Monday morning and have them know what to do, it's not a strategy.
It's a slogan.
And that leads to red flag 12, the radar trap. The inability to actually say no.
The infamous parking lot or the backlog.
Let's just keep it on the radar. Let's put a pin in it.
This is just a failure of courage. When you refuse to kill options, you are just keeping this mental weight on the organization for things you aren't actually doing. Strategy requires a funeral for good ideas.
Strategy requires a funeral for good ideas.
I like that. It's dark, but it's necessary.
You have to bury the good to let the great live. Okay, home stretch. Segment 5, execution. The binder is closed. And right away, we hit red flag 13, the bystander effect.
It's all about ownership. You look at the action item and who owns it.
Marketing. Or the IT team.
Or the absolute worst one, we. As in, we will improve retention.
Who's we?
We means no one. If everyone is responsible, then no one is responsible. You need a single owner, one person's name, Sarah. If Sarah gets hit by a bus, we have a problem. But until then, Sarah is the owner.
Now, red flag number 14. I think this might be the most valuable takeaway for anyone feeling burned out right now. The missing not-to-do list.
This is so critical. Most companies just add. They add new goals, new initiatives, new reports. They never subtract the old work.
You're just piling more weight on a wagon that's already full.
And you finance that new strategy with employee burnout. A real strategy includes a formal not-to-do list. We are stopping this Workley report. We are firing this legacy client.
You've got to clear the space to build the new thing.
It's basic physics. If you don't stop the old, the new will never happen. You just don't have the bandwidth.
Finally, red flag number 15. The entropy problem.
This is the belief that strategy is a one-time event. You know, a retreat or a workshop, and then we're done.
And the binder goes on the shelf.
Right. But the world changes. Assumptions prove wrong. You need a quarterly strategic pulse, a rigid guardrail to review those assumptions.
So it's not a vaccine, it's a diet. You have to keep doing it.
If you don't, the daily whirlwind of operations will suffocate the strategy within 3 months. Guaranteed. The urgent always displaces the important unless you protect it.
Okay, so let's recap this whole journey. We started with this room full of noise. We learned to avoid the general review and instead ask a challenge question.
We learned to ignore the broken printers and the high PPOs.
And we learned to kill the buzzwords and replace them with verbs. But most importantly, if you don't have a not-to-do list, you don't have a strategy, you just have a recipe for burnout.
Exactly. It's about moving from a laundry list of wishes to a disciplined set of choices.
So here's where we'll leave you. We always like to end with something to chew on.
Right. So I want you to look at your current strategic plan, or even just your team's goals, and then
this new plan.
And then just watch their faces. If they stare at you blankly or if everyone gives you a different answer, then you don't have a strategy, you have a wish list. And wish lists don't survive in the real world.
Harsh, but necessary. Thanks for diving deep with us. Now go check those sticky notes.
Good luck.